Hi, and in this video, I'm going to share 7 secret signs that he might be lying to you. Hi there, Matt Shaffer, your empowerment, connection, and relationship coach here. I'm a former attorney who's committed his life to supporting you and creating the sort of fun, fulfilling, dynamic connections and relationships with men that you are so worthy of. And I'm excited to talk to you today about 7 secret signs, both verbal and nonverbal, that will allow you to know if a man that you're dating or talking to might be lying to you. Okay, these are going to be really fun and I'm excited to dig into it. But before we do, take a second, hit that little subscribe button, and don't forget to click the link in the comments or caption. I have created some great training for you that's going to make a huge difference in your connections and relationships with men. And now, before we dive into these 7 verbal and nonverbal lying cues, I want to share with you 3 lying principles. And you can use these principles to evaluate anything that a man is saying to you to determine if he's lying or not. And the first principle is that the best defense is a good offense. And you might have experienced men doing this before when you catch him in a lie and he becomes defensive and goes on the offense with you to try to turn the tables on you strategically and get you to start defending yourself, which then relieves him of the responsibility to defend himself. So anytime you see a man becoming overly aggressive or defensive as you're asking him questions, it's a sign to start looking deeper. And the second lying principle is that actions speak louder than words. This is at the foundation of nonverbal cues for lying, because for many men, while they may be very good with their words and their explanations and their rationalizations, their bodies can't lie. So their eyes or their body stance or the way they're angling themselves or their throat, there's so many different things you can look for, where if a man is not being physically congruent when he's talking to you with how he normally is, if he's acting different, even though the words are making sense, that's again another a little alarm bell thing for you to look for. I think Maya Angelou had a great quote that applies when we're talking about nonverbal cues. When people show you who they are, believe them. And the third lying principle is anything that buys him time is an asset. So anytime you see a man stalling or trying to find a way to give himself some time and space when confronted with a question or some sort of abnormal situation, that is a good indicator that he needs that time to sort of prepare a story, to allow things to cool down and give him the space and distance to come up with a strategy that's going to work for him. So if you have a guy who's stalling instead of giving you a natural, organic explanation for whatever it is that you're asking him about or that you're inquiring about, that might be a sign that he's lying to you. So now that we've got those 3 lying principles established, that the best defense is a good offense, that actions speak louder than words, and that time is a liar's best friend, let's dive into the 7 secret signs that you can tell if a man is lying to you. And you know what? I'm going to throw in a bonus one at the end. So be sure to hang with this video until the very end, y'all. You're not going to want to miss it because it will be the most important sign of all. The first sign that you want to look for is a verbal one, and that's that he is just repeating back to you the questions or statements that you're making to him. And this is going to happen most often when you're asking him a confrontive question or you're giving him sort of an unexpected statement. And again, what is he doing? Principle 3, he's stalling so that he can find time to come up with a right response. So if you ask him what he was doing all day yesterday because you couldn't get a hold of him, he might just stop and pause for a second and then say, "So what you're saying is that you couldn't get a hold of me all day yesterday?" And then he's going to pause and give you some time to sort of restate what it is that you're saying, which again gives him that buffer of time to sort of concoct, and also additional details that you're sharing with him to give him time to put his story together. And another thing he might do if he's already asked you that repetitive question is to follow up that repetitive question with additional questions, building off of it to try to put you on the defensive, right? So he'd say, "Okay, so you're saying that you weren't able to get a hold of me, that I wasn't picking up my phone. Well, did you try texting me? Did you send me a fax or an email? I mean, did you send me a carrier pigeon? I was by a window all day yesterday. I didn't see a single carrier pigeon." So I'm half joking, but you get what I'm saying, right? He's going to try to just give you additional questions so that all of a sudden you're explaining to him why you didn't try all these other ways just to try to reach out to him. Now, the second sign that a man is lying is a nonverbal one, and that is when a man feels confronted or trapped, he is going to angle or be drawn towards the point of escape. Okay, so this might look a lot of different ways. It might look like him glancing towards a doorway, or angling his body, or leaning towards the exit point from the room, or even just angling his feet towards the escape route that he might be able to go on if he had his way. And the easiest way to catch a man with this cue is to just really follow his eyes. And if you see his eyes start leading towards the doorway or start looking out the window, then that's a good sign that he's feeling some sort of impulsive desire to escape because he's caught in a dishonest statement. And the next sign that a man might be lying is if he repeats back his own justifications and his own explanations. This is another stalling strategy that's used especially when a man feels stuck and he can't come up with any additional details to sort of fully support or flesh out his statement. Like if you ask him where he was last night when you couldn't get a hold of him and he says, "I was going to the store and they don't have reception in that part of town." And then you start asking, well, what store and what were you buying? And you start asking him follow-up questions. And he's like, listen, I was going to the store. They don't have reception there. And because he can't come up with those additional details you're asking for, he's just going to keep going back to the well and getting more aggressive in his repetition of his answer, hoping that it'll either give him enough time to come up with some more details, or that if he gets aggressive enough that you might back away and stop asking him additional questions that will catch him in his dishonesty. I was at the store. Leave me alone, woman. Now, this next sign is another non-verbal one, and it's actually a little surprising. I know you've probably heard that, if a man is lying, that he might have a hard time holding your gaze, he might be looking away. And while that is true, it's actually more accurate that if a man is really lying to you and he really wants to sell that lie, that he's going to give you too much eye contact. He's going to go out of his way to hold your gaze because that's a way that, men will control conversations and try to really sell you on the sincerity of what it is that they're saying. And if you think about it, it makes sense. In a normal, relaxed conversation where nobody has anything to hide, it's natural for eye contact to waver, right? And for people to sort of like make eye contact and then look away and then come back, and it just sort of fades in and out, depending upon the level of connection and whatever everybody's talking about. But if someone's really trying to control the narrative, right, and control the conversation and sell you on the truthfulness of their story, they're going to go out of their way to make more eye contact than they would normally, right? So it's important for you to understand what level of eye contact is normal for him and is normal in the context of your relationship. And then ask yourself, is the way that he's communicating with me and is the way that he's holding my gaze here, is that congruent with how he normally is? And if it's not, if he's looking away more than usual, or if he's looking directly at you more than usual, that's again another red flag that he might either be struggling to connect with you because he's lying, or he's really trying to sell the fact that he's lying to you. Now, this next sign is a verbal one, and that is the raising of the voice. When a man is feeling anxious, when a man is feeling nerves, his vocal cords will actually contract and you will have him raise his voice to try to deal with that in real time. And one of the ways that a raised voice will be used most often is in conjunction with an aggressive or defensive statement that's meant to sort of push you back and put you on the defense in the conversation. I can't believe that you would accuse me of that. Well, how can you think that of me? So if he starts raising his voice in a way that is not normal and not usual for the way that you two communicate, it's definitely something to look at. And this next cue is another nonverbal one, and it's when a man uses pointing or other aggressive gestures in his conversation towards you. And that is, again, the best defense is a good offense, and a man will do that non-verbally and either subconsciously or consciously try to intimidate you and put you back on your heels by using his body and using his gestures to sort of like intimidate you in that way. Especially look for if a man is pointing at you in an accusatory way. That's often the sign of a guilty party. Trust me on this one, I used to be a lawyer and I've seen a lot of liars in court. And this next sign is a really interesting verbal one. It's when a man slows down his speech and does things like eliminate contractions. So instead of a man saying, I wasn't there, he might say, I was not there, Sharon. You see what he did there? Instead of saying wasn't, he said was not. And he slowed down the delivery of the language because that is, again, a great stalling tactic. It adds dramatic effect to his statement. It's more aggressive. So it's either going to buy him time or put you on the defensive enough that maybe you'll back off asking him whatever question it is that you're asking him. So look at this, y'all. We have covered 3 lying principles and 7 powerful signs that a man is lying. And I've got one more to share with you. But before I share that last one, by far the most powerful and most important one that you have access to, let's look at what we've covered so far. The 3 lying principles are that actions speak louder than words, that the best defense is a good offense, and that time is a liar's best friend. Okay, so those are universal principles that you can use anytime a man is speaking with anything he's saying. And if it triggers one of those, it's something you want to look at deeper. And the 7 signs we've covered to tell if a man is lying are: 1, if he is repeating back your questions to you as a question, right? And then on top of that, he's asking you little follow-up questions to try to put you on the defensive. 2, he keeps looking or angling towards his escape route, whether it be a door or a window, with his body, with his eyes, with his shoes, with his toes. He's always sort of like angling towards that escape route. That's a good sign you know he's lying. 3, he repeats back his own statements and justifications, especially if he feels stuck and he needs time to come up with some more details. 4, he makes too much eye contact in an attempt to control the conversation, or maybe he makes too little eye contact because he's really uncomfortable trying to sell the story. And the 5th sign that a man might be lying to you is that he's raising his voice and he doesn't even realize it. And a 6th sign that a man might be lying to you is if he's pointing or using other aggressive gestures. These are all designed to put you on your heels, intimidate you, and get you to back off what it is that you're trying to ask him about. And a 7th sign that a man might be lying to you is that he's slowing down his speech and he is eliminating all contractions. So it's not that he wasn't at the party last night. He was not at that party, Deborah. And now it's time for the bonus tip. The most powerful sign that you can tell if a man is lying to you is if you consistently, at your gut level, don't feel good about what his explanations are and what he's sharing with you. This is your intuition. This is a superpower that you possess right now. And it's okay to occasionally feel a little off about a man's actions or what he's up to, right? It's okay if that happens occasionally, right? Everybody has moods. But if you are consistently feeling uncomfortable or unsafe with the way a man is acting and the justifications he's giving you for why he's doing what he's doing, then chances are that's you at a deeper intuitive level picking up on his dishonesty, and it's trying to signal to you, hey, there is danger here. It is time to protect yourself. So I want to end with that last point, that trusting yourself and listening to your own intuition is the greatest asset and tool you have when it comes to determining if a man is lying to you or not. So I hope that these 3 principles and these 8 signs are going to help you be able to detect if a man is lying to you in your life. And here's the last thing I want to say on this subject, is that just because a man is lying to you about something, it doesn't mean that he's evil, okay? It's human nature sometimes for us to lie, especially if we have shame around something, especially if we're afraid of a reaction or response from you. And maybe he just wanted to spend some time with his buddies, but he was scared to ask you for it because he didn't want to have a fight with you. And so he makes up a story about having to go visit his mother or his grandmother or something. Does that mean that it's right? Absolutely not. But just because a man is being dishonest with you, it is not necessarily grounds to immediately completely throw him under the bus or feel totally betrayed by him. But if you can catch a man in being dishonest and then bring it up with him in a way that really facilitates a vulnerable conversation or dialogue with him, it can lead to greater levels of intimacy and vulnerability with him, and you guys can work through whatever caused him to lie in the first place. And if he's doing it from a malicious place and he's doing it to hurt you or control you or manipulate you, then perfect. That is a great time for you to cut him loose. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, take a second, hit that little subscribe button, and don't forget to click that link in the comments and caption. I have created some great training that's gonna make a huge difference in your relationships and connections with men. Thanks so much for swinging by, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.